Well, greetings Sigma race fans. We come at you live here tonight from Nashville Superspeedway with the USATrucks Eastern Division here tonight. And it should be a good one. We usually have some great racing here at Nashville, and this East Division has definitely been one to keep an eye on this year with some very unique storylines that have unfolded so far. Some different, perspectives with race winners and whatnot throughout the year. John Hagan, your points leader right now, but he hasn't really dominated. We've had drivers also with the win category, such as Alan Malcolm and teammate Alex Sanvital, Craig Popgris, and that is your four trucks that have won so far in the season. As we're here again tonight for 121 laps, 161 miles here at Nashville Superspeedway. Getting pole position here tonight, kind of a surprise up front there. Sarah Taylor in the 45 Toyota alongside your points leader, John Hagan. Then it is the Trevor Ventures teammates of Alan Malcolm and Alex Sanvital next row back. Then it's Philip Purpura and Zane Phoenix. Carlos Eduardo and Brandon Butler the second. Snake Plissken and James Gunner. Followed by Wesley Shaw and David Bird. Then it is Al Bunch Incorporated with Guido Piano and Craig Popgris alongside of him. Eli the Wolf and Dale Bush mid-pack here. Mitchell Carter and Kyle Ottawa. Tim Morse and Wyatt Wilkinson. Cannon Gage and Ralph Oberstadt. Milano Grimm and the 59 of David Bird. Or Gannon Bird, my bad. Andre Stefan with Philip Manning. Craig Bush with Ryan Little. Sebastian Galloway Jr. As we skim through real quickly here, they're already rolling. We're getting ready to go green. In the front row here, we will get set up for the start of tonight's 121 lap race. So yeah, John Hagan, your points leader, starting front row here today, alongside Sarah Taylor there. As I didn't get to skim through and give quite the announcement on everyone here in the starting lineup, but we're green here tonight in Nashville. Sarah Taylor still seeking that first career win in any form of Sigma racing. Good pole position is a good start here at Nashville tonight. Haven't really dusted off the stats book, but I don't think that we've seen a lot of pole position winners in the Truck Series as a whole anyways. So it's, you could break that trend tonight if it is so, but wow, look at that already, 3 wide for third place. Phil Purpura in the midst of a 3 wide sandwich. You got John Hagan dropping backwards on the move up, the 52 there. That is the W entry of Wesley Shaw. And we already have a caution, it shows. You can see on the ticker there it says caution. Yep, we're yellow. First time tonight, Sarah Taylor is going to lead them to the caution break here. And let us jump around the track. Ooh, let's see what brought out the caution here tonight. Caution number 1. Here at the tail end of the field, that is Daniel Pauls Jr. We've got the camera rolling on the 99 machine. That is the 00 of Jack Ross right behind him. They're racing down the backstretch. You can see the smoke, skid marks on the track already. Oh, and that looks like we missed the big part of it at the front there. That was the 95 of Sebastian Galloway Jr. So here he is. You got John Underkoffler up on the high side, Gannon Bird on the high side. And that is the 49 of Paul Valenzuela. Whoa, they lost it in front of him even. It's going to be a multifaceted wreck here that we got to dissect on each retry to catch the action. So it looks like it starts all the way up here with Cannon Gage, who's in the top 20. 3 wide with Craig Popgris on the high side there. Dale Bush in the middle. Ah, man, just ran out of room, and hard hit there by Craig Bush. Hard hit by Sebastian Galloway Jr. We'll get one one more angle here to see. Yeah, they were 3 wide, and then they settled into 2 wide, and that's where it kind of got a little bit hairy. Can't engage, hooks up, and spins out. Some nice saves there by a couple drivers. Definitely the 00 of Jack Ross, who saw the opening and took it and managed to avoid making contact at all, it looks like. Yeah, while we're under caution still, let's dial up the replay from in-car there on Jack Ross. Now watch how this move is made here by the 00 machine. Wow. Yeah, Jack Ross might need a XYZ, his PANTS after that one. And it's going to get interesting at the front here as it's going to reset with Sarah Taylor, your pole sitter, still leading. And then back up into second there, we've got Alan Malcolm. Carlos Eduardo with the fastest lap so far, running in third. Snake Plissken in fourth with the Outlaw Gang comrade of his there, Philip Purpura, right behind him. Wesley Shaw, John Hagan. That's right, Wesley Shaw was the race winner last time out, so we didn't get all 5 races scored up yet, but Wesley Shaw did come out victorious in our last East Coast race where we were racing at Watkins Glen. And yeah, I just haven't had the time to get points all scored up. Under yellow for the first time, they'll get doubled up before restart here, and we'll see what unfolds here for the second go around here tonight. John Hagan, your points leader, back to 7th. And the 2022 truck champion there, Guido Piano, in 8th. Alex Sanvital 9th. And as the 9 of Alan Malcolm charges around to take the lead away from her. Some more 3-wide action there. It seems like no matter where they are on the track here today, 3-wide action is the name of the game. So the 95 is the only truck retired here tonight out of that first wreck. So unfortunately for Sebastian Galloway Jr., they're going to be packing up a lot earlier than they desired to here in Nashville tonight. Well, Alan Malcolm kind of cruising off at the moment, but Sarah Taylor and Carlos Eduardo right there in the picture. John Hagan just turned the fastest lap of the race. He's in 4th with the Baja Blast Mountain Dew truck. Sarah Taylor closing that gap up on the number 9. That looks like they're almost playing bumper cars there for the lead. Great battle going on all throughout your top 4 there. And even 5th could get into the party before too long. The Costco Wholesale Toyota Tundra there of Sarah Taylor from pole position here today. We'll see if she can convert that over. She's got some very stout competition here today. Carlos Eduardo looking stout in that Tyler Aspinall Racing Honda Ridgeline. And John Hagan for Shingle Steel Racing looking really solid too. The 88, your points leader, of course. And he wants to try and rack up some more points here tonight and keep that points lead in his favor. There once was a... Well, so far, pretty much followed the leader on this second start after that first caution. But Sarah Taylor keeping it pretty interesting here. She might be able to have something for the 9 of Alan Malcolm before too long. John Hagan as well, keeping it close. The 10 started to reel in the lead pack here. So Alex Sanvital back up amongst the leaders after he had quite a gap to close from 5th to 4th. In the meantime, it looks like he might be ready to fight for 4th and take that position away from Carlos Eduardo. He can't be outstaged by his teammate Alan Malcolm, who's leading the race right now. So Alex Sanvital definitely wants to get up there and dance with his teammate for the race win. Mostly impressed here with Sarah Taylor out of the gate swinging like she is here tonight. That 45 truck looking stout so far. But don't look now, John Hagan's knocking on the door. He might be able to make a move here for second. Dips down on the backstretch, dives in there to turn 3. And with the Chevy power under the hood there, that 88 machine looking stout. John Hagan with the fastest lap, and he's also made his way up 3 spots since the restart from 4th up to 2nd. Oh, and Sarah Taylor struggling there a little bit. She's going to have a hard time finding the inside line with the 10 truck there. A little bit of lap traffic ahead here. I think that might be the 99. Nope, that is the 28 of Jamie Horseman. He's pretty far off the pace with the damage on that 28 machine, so we'll go ahead and disqualify him to keep the leaders happy. Oh, and he's not honoring or respecting the black flag call. This is going to slow up the 9 of Alan Malcolm as John Hagan takes the lead away. That's some Chevy shenanigans right there. The Chevrolet, or actually I take that back, it's a Ford. The 28's a Ford. Wow, tough break for the 9 of Alan Malcolm, losing the lead there because the lapper did not honor the black flag right away. Well, now John Hagan back to the lead here, followed by Carlos Eduardo in second. As we're now on lap 21 of 121, 100 laps left to go. A little bit more lap traffic ahead here. 84 of Craig Bush. Computers are going to make pretty quick work of him. It looks like he's going to be pretty chill and let them by. 18 has to work a little bit harder than John Hagan did to get around the 84 machine there. Whoa. Wow, that lap truck is on thin ice already, playing Rochambeau with your lead trucks here. We'll go ahead and do the same thing we did with the other slow truck, 84. Unfortunately, we're going to have to DQ. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt there, but unfortunately, looks like he is a rolling roadblock on the track here. That'll leave us with 36 trucks left running here. But all in the meanwhile, John Hagan, your points leader. One race win on the season so far, and he would like to add to that here in 2026. Having another stellar performance here at Nashville, already out to the lead by a pretty good margin over majority of the field. He does have that 18 there of Carlos Eduardo right there in his rear view mirror. Keeping him honest, keeping him from, pushing it too hard and making a mistake. You know, it's like you got that guy in your background, kind of gives you a different plan of attack. You don't want to go too hard, but you don't want to go too easy either. Carlos Eduardo in that 18 had the fastest lap at one point. So between him and John Hagan, those are two very fast trucks here tonight. Chevy versus Honda. And your pole setter, Sarah Taylor, back to third now. It looks like she's got some work to do to try and catch your lead too. But for Carlos Eduardo, he's definitely keeping it really close here. John Hagan might have a run for his money here tonight down the long run. Should be a one-stopper kind of race here at Nashville. Anywhere south of lap 60 will probably be where we see pit stops happen here tonight. The drop-off is not too severe here at Nashville. The track itself showing some age over the years, but it's not too gritty, not too abrasive. And they're only running about maybe 3/10 off of their best lap time right now, so not too bad, honestly. You can keep them running pretty strong for as long as you got gas in the tank here. Well, now that we've had kind of a long green flag run here, let us go ahead and do a through the field from the front here, starting at John Hagan, your race leader. Then in second, it is the strong-looking 18 machine there of Carlos Eduardo, delivering with FedEx here today. Sarah Taylor running in third, followed by Philip Purpura, who's having a spirited battle for that position against Alex Sanvital. Alan Malcolm in sixth, followed by Zane Phoenix, your 2022 Sigma USATrucks champion, Guido Piano. Brandon Butler the second, a strong run from him here tonight. He's got a lot of double, triple, quadruple duty, it seems like, anymore. And this truck, he's still out there starting the truck race each week, seeking that first ever truck win. He is a cup winner this year, though, which I think takes the cake over getting that truck win at the moment. David Bird in 10th, Snake Plissken in 11th, and James Gunner running in 12th. More of the Outlaw gang, as you've got Tim Morrison 13th, Eli the Wolf 14th, Ryan Little running in 15th, Mitchell Carter in 16th. How about that for the 52 of Wesley Shaw, back to 17th right now. He was up front fighting for the win at one point, and that caution came out, set him back, and he's dropped pretty hard from the front of the field there. Another one of the Outlaw gang, Philip Manning running in 20th, Gannon Bird right behind him. And then you got Andrew Moger in 21st, Ralph Oberstadt 22nd, Wyatt Wilkinson 23rd, Kyle Ottawa 24th, and John Underkoffler 25th. It's Jeffrey Gerald, Andre Stefan, Dale Bush, and Pedro Sales, followed by Craig Popkris, Drew Clue, Jack Ross, Paul Valenzuela, Daniil Bogdasarov. Whoa, and there was a little bit of contact there between the last two trucks on the field, 99 of Daniel Pauls Jr. and the 5 of Cannon Gage, who were involved in that first caution here today. And we're back to your race leader, the Baja Blast machine. Been out front for quite a few circuits here. Laps led look a little bit like this. 17 laps led by John Hagan, followed by 5 laps led by Sarah Taylor, and 13 by Alan Malcolm. So at the moment, John Hagan's got the credit of leading the most laps. That can go any which way still early in the race here today. 84 laps remaining. One thing that is starting to look more and more certain here is that John Hagan's got it set to kill here tonight, trying to maximize points gained in a very tumultuous truck championship. Obviously, the trucks as it is, you got the East and you've got the West. You've got what would basically be considered a regular championship or a regular season when the East Coast and the West Coast close out their regular seasons. You'll have a regular season champion from the East and from the West. Those we would kind of credit as like a half championship, obviously, because it's a little bit different circumstances become the overall champion at the end of the year. So these 13 races on the East and on the West, 13 apiece. One driver will come out on top of the points, and that'll help stagger the chase, the W Western Eastern Championship chase between the two divisions, where you take 10 of the best from each and let them duke it out for the overall championship at the end of the year. So even though John Hagan looks solid here on the East Coast, just you wait. Once that chase becomes the, when it unfolds this year, you get to stack yourself up against the best of the West, and it may not be as cut and dry as that. Well, lap traffic is going to end up screwing John Hagan out of the lead there as the 99 of Daniel Pauls Jr. holds him up and lets the 18 of Carlos Eduardo by. Hagan not giving up though. He's bouncing back, trying to get on the inside and push towards the 18 here. But Carlos Eduardo gets to enjoy the bonus points here tonight with leading a lap. Well, they have dropping at least a full second from their fast time here tonight, so tires are starting to degrade just a little bit, but still not by a whole lot. They can get away with a lot more on this track surface for longer durations of time. Alrighty, here we go. John Hagan's putting his nose to the back bumper. 18 kind of just slides right down in front of him, but John Hagan's got the pace. Is he going to try to make the move again? Heading down the backstretch. Looks like he will. He's going to go into turn 3 with the nose on the inside. Tail quarter of the 18 machine. They come out of turn 4, drag racing down the front stretch. John Hagan's going to lead this lap here, lap 45. The 18 not giving up. He's going to continue to fight on the high side until he can. And he's got to slot in right behind Hagan now as Hagan takes back over the top spot. And the 18 is looking pretty good here, though, no matter what. He's bouncing back just as quickly as John Hagan did, and he wants to get back up there and lead some more laps tonight. Yeah, you do gotta imagine pit stops when they start unfolding here tonight that it's gonna be a very pivotal pit stop. One pit stop's gonna be good enough to get them to the finish here tonight. But when do you go? Do you go first? Do you go second? Or do you stretch it for as long as you can and hope for a caution? There's always so many facets to the whole strategy game. And either you're on top or you wind up somewhere near the bottom. And so for right now, you guarantee that the crew chiefs are in there. They're talking and trying to get a game plan together, but they're probably not talking too much because they don't want too much radio chatter that the other teams might pick up and figure out the strategies that are on hand. It's when you get code words like watermelon or guinea pig or something to throw the other teams off the trail so that you don't have any copycats or people stealing your strategy calls. I guarantee you for the 88 machine is probably Baja Blast. Whatever the strategy, they're just going to call it the Baja. Mountain Dew. Give me the Dew and I'll roll with it. This is kind of starting to unfold like a very traditional Nashville race in Sigma. Not a lot of cautions, but a lot of strategies to unfold. Usually, in the last several races we've had here at Nashville, you're pretty light on cautions, and so That's when the real racing, the other angles, you know, pit stops and strategy calls. Usually this thing turns into a bit of a attrition race where cars start blowing up, mechanical failures start rearing their ugly heads. The trucks, though, may not be nearly long enough. It's a short enough race here today that I don't think you're going to see very many mechanical failures. But majority of the races hosted at Nashville, we've seen at least one mechanical failure somewhere throughout the day, whether it's a flat tire. We saw that last year with the Trevor and Trevor show. Trevor Walker was leading this race, got a flat tire, and then unfortunately could not get back up to the front to win it. And I want to say it was Trevor Vaden that day that ended up taking the victory. His teammate, the Trevor Walker, Trevor and Trevor show as it was once known. We haven't had them in the same field for a truck race for quite some time as they've started moving up the ladder. So Trevor Walker up into Cup, Trevor Vaden full-time in Bridge to Cup. Both of which have kind of stepped away from truck racing at the moment. But you never know. We might get the Trevor and Trevor shows someday in the Cup Series with Trevor Walker, Trevor Vaden duking it out. Trevor Walker has not yet extended his team ownership up into the Cup side of things yet. They do have kind of a partial ownership going with his brother Jordan Walker over there with Bison Motorsports, but that's been a process and a half trying to get that team competitive, as Jordan Walker himself has struggled. He was a truck champion here last year, and so actually no, that was 2 years ago now. Yeah, so Jordan Walker was the 2024 truck champion, because we had Trevor Vaden, the 2025 truck champion, which we didn't even crown until 2026, as we kind of got a little bit lazy in the broadcast booth studios and did not get the final truck race in the books until the first months of January of 2026. I mean, first months of 2026. So yeah, the truck series going strong here this year. We're rolling through them. This is race number 6 on the East Coast, and then we'll be rolling in to the West Coast again next week for race number 7 at Kansas. The Great Plains 151, 101 laps next Monday. Tune in if you can. But we're just about closing in on halfway here in tonight's Nashville. Music City 161, as it's been John Hagan pretty much controlling the event here tonight. Pardon me. We'll see if he can maintain that lead and keep it rolling here and steal yet another win in this early mid part of the season. I've been hard at work on building Tri-City Raceway for NASCAR Racing 2003. My home track. It is a half-mile tri-oval, which is the only existing one of its size and shape left. Of course, there's bigger tri-ovals where you got Pocono and I think even Nazareth is technically classified. But nothing as small as a half mile with 3 true turns. It's coming along smoothly. We have some testers testing the track as I got, kind of the early beta releases for people to work with. And we're learning more and more. I'm learning more and more about track building, and it's been a process and a half, but it's been well worth the headache and hassle that's gone into making it. It's been neat seeing the other people excited about I know that I've seen it a couple times where people were asking. One thing about Tri-City Raceway is it is truly one of the few tracks that kind of puts a more complete spin on NASCAR Racing 2003 season. Back in 2003, before Tri-City Raceway shut down, it was actually a track that the current ARCA West, which would have been back then the Winston West Series, ran at on a one-time deal. Each year they'd come to Tri-Cities, and there you have it. That's one track that the game has never had, and it would make it more complete to a 2003 standard than it's ever been. Another track that's been thrown around out there is Tucson Speedway, which has been around since the 03 game's been here all these years. So a couple tracks with some NASCAR history definitely need some love and need a little bit more TLC to get into the game. But I'll be glad once I can at least have a polished enough version to release publicly, and that would be the first big deal about it. So Florence too, yeah, I agree. We need so many of the short tracks. The problem, I think, being many people didn't even bother to build short tracks for the game is how botched the AI can be when it gets to short track racing. It seems like pit stops are a problem. When you try to go green, you have cars stacked on top of cars. Luckily, a lot of the mods like Better Yellows and all these other bells and whistles have made it so that the game runs a little bit smoother on short tracks, but even then it's hit or miss depending on the size and depending on the build. If someone didn't do a very good build job on a track, you might have more problems that way too. So definitely some bucket list tracks out there that need built. I hope some of them come to iRacing too. I mean, and vice versa. There's some iRacing tracks I wish we could get on NR2003. And of course, NR2003 tracks that we could somehow get on iRacing. Unfortunately, my skill set, I'm not sure I could even learn how they go about building the tracks for iRacing. I'm sure it's a very involved process to build a track. Like for the fact that they actually got to go out there and laser print most of the tracks down to the square inch, down to the gravel, down to the pebble and the sand grains of the racetrack. Goes a long way to make it more authentic, make it more simulated, make it more realistic, but I'm sure it's a process, and it's a time-consuming one at that. Carlos Eduardo right there on John Hagen, back bumper of the 88 truck. They're stretching it pretty long here. They're not going to pit right away. They know that the winning strategy might be to stay out a little longer here. It looks like we've had quite a few takers on pit stops, as it's only 28 trucks on the lead lap right now. Well, we're down to 53 laps left to go here. Last round of pit stops still looming around the corner here eventually. John Hagen leads over Carlos Eduardo. Take another opportunity to look at laps led here today. John Hagen to a whopping tune of 46 laps led. He's almost got led most laps tied up here. Carlos Eduardo with 4. Sarah Taylor with 5, and Alan Malcolm at 13. And every lap that Hagen leads now is only going to help tamp that bonus for leading the most laps here tonight. 52 laps remain, and he's led 47 of them. Eventually, he's going to have to come down pit road and get the the fuel up, fresh tires, whatever else they need to get this truck good to the finish. And what else is impressive here is that we only had one caution so far. That was early on lap 2. And since lap 2, the restart, we've been green all the way. So kudos to these truck drivers for putting on a very, very solid run here tonight without too much carnage and chaos. Oh, John Hagan's making his pit stop right now. Carlos Eduardo is going to stay out another lap here. It looks like pushing it to lap 73. So Hagan relinquishes the lead here and puts him somewhat now in the danger zone for a caution if it were to come out. A couple other takers down pit road, it looks like, including the likes of Kyle Ottawa, Gannon Bird, Philip Purpura, and even Ralph Overstat and Brandon Butler. Nice thing about NR2003 is it's free. And has been free because it's technically abandonware because the company Sierra no longer exists, although majority of them left on to build what is now known as iRacing. But yeah, no, it takes up a small chunk of your C drive, which that's the only, I hate using my C drive up, but if I were to have anything on my C drive, it'd be Windows processing and, you know, the essentials to make the computer run, plus NR2003. If that was all I could put on my C drive, definitely would be, I would fill up my C drive with NR2003 and throw away my Explorer processor and all that other shit. Looks like we got some smoke ahead. No caution, everything staying green, so it must just been some drivers that overdrove it going onto pit road there. We saw kind of like John Hagan did, getting into the grass. You can see the ebb and flow now. The trucks with the fresher tires making hay while they can, and those that are coming off pit road are technically sitting ducks at the moment. And pun not intended there, as we have the Aflac duck on the racetrack right when I said that. This will be the big telltale. Carlos Eduardo waits till the very end to make his pit stop. Looks like at about lap 75. Putting us at 45 laps to go, and he's going to come out behind John Hagan, but he'll have about 3 laps fresher tires than Mr. Hagan does, as he was able to stretch it that much further. With 45 laps, that could be a big advantage once the the race gets closer to the end here. As long as everything stays green, this 18 truck is going to have a long run advantage on the 88 of Hagan. It might be a small advantage, but albeit it's still going to be an advantage to some degree. So that is back to 1-2. John Hagan leads the way. Pretty steady cushion there. .44 laps to go. He's led the most laps and should have it locked up here pretty shortly, due in part that the other driver that we had leading all those laps want to say it was Alan Malcolm. Yeah, Alan Malcolm's back in 9th, so it's going to take him some time to get back up there. Dealing with lap traffic here. John Hagan's going to go around the 92 machine of Kyle Ottawa. Ottawa putting up a fight, though. He's going to keep the position, and that might be a brutal battle for John Hagan to get around that lap truck here. This could slow up Hagan a little bit and allow the 18 of Carlos Eduardo to start closing that gap. John Hagan seeking to become the first multi-race winner on the East Coast this year. As I previously mentioned, 5 different winners in the first 5 races of this Trucks East Coast season. We saw Wesley Shaw get the job done at Watkins Glen last week. Well, 2 weeks ago now. And amazingly enough, stayed caution-free through the second half of the race so far. Hagan actually starting to build up a bit of a gap here on second place Carlos Eduardo. Up to 3.19 seconds his advantage. Short of a caution here, John Hagan's got quite the lead, quite a cushion. But how about Philip Purpura in 3rd, David Bird in 4th, and Alex Sanvital with a top 5 run here tonight. Snake Plissken up to 6th. He's looking to try and certify himself as a truck runner. Sarah Taylor in 7th. Guido Piano 8th. Brandon Butler the 2nd, running in 9th, still seeking that first ever truck win. And then, of course, Alan Malcolm. John Hagan looking to try and complete the trifecta of sorts here. Fastest lap, led the most laps, and even win the race. The only other thing he didn't get was pole position, obviously. That was one short as he qualified 2nd here tonight. He's gained 1 whopping spot, moving up to the lead. So I guess that would be the true trifecta. He's only got 2/3 of that, though, minus the pole position. And now the lead up to 3.42 seconds. It doesn't look like Carlos Eduardo is going to have much of an advantage to play with here, as John Hagan seems to be doing just fine. This was the venue last year that hosted the Music Fest Grand Prix for the Cup Series. By the end of the night, we were able to watch as Tasha Wright was claiming another race win on the season. She'd already won at Phoenix a couple nights prior to that, and got her 2nd career win in the Music Fest Grand Prix. It was a definite feel-good story there. KBM has been stout. Not much representation of KBM here on the East truck side of things. I want to say that 5 is, we've got a blown truck. Ah, man, our pole sitter, Sarah Taylor. What was I telling you about the mechanical failures? They do happen here at Nashville. And there's oil down on track after a blown engine by the 45 there of Sarah Taylor. We're going to go ahead and throw the yellow. Tough break for your pole setter. And it seems to be the trend here that if, you know, and she wasn't necessarily running up front when the mechanical failure happened, but she was the pole setter and a blown engine here tonight. So tough break. Tough break. So John Hagan, he's going to have to try it again here. He's going to have a restart to deal with. Blown header by the 45 of Sarah Taylor. And with this caution falling where it does, it's going to make things a little bit interesting here tonight. A 30-some lap shootout to the finish, which will drop down to about a like a 28-lap shootout. It's kind of a short track style heat race for the most part, or main event with some of your local like Hornet classes and whatnot. But with our Sigma USATrucks here tonight, they're out there right now with the kitty litter, getting the oil absorbed off the racetrack. Won't see the visibility change as NR2003 does not necessarily simulate the oil dry on track, although that would be kind of cool. Have the oil dry, have all the jet dryers. That would be next level, honestly. That would be pretty wild if you had the freaking jet dryers out there on the racetrack. A little bit of rain. They're blowing off the race surface. Just make sure there's no Juan Pablo Montoya in the field. That jet dryer could be a target if you have the target Ganassi number 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya on the racetrack, that is. But jokes aside, it would be kind of neat. Would be. It definitely would be adding an extra wrinkle of simulation to an already simulated simulation of race cars. Well, the lights are out on the pace truck. We're going to get going next time by. That was a quick oil cleanup there. 28 laps will be the reset here for 28-lap shootout. John Hagan and Chris Eduardo will lead them to the restart. And then you've got the 25 there of Philip Purpura and David Bird, followed by Alex Sanvital and Snake Plissken. This is one of my picks here to keep an eye on, folks. Jake's pick. Keep an eye on Snake Plissken during this restart. He could get up front and fight for a podium. Maybe even a win. He could be a threat. Guido Piano, Brandon Butler II, Alan Malcolm, and Zane Phoenix rounding out your top 10 for this late race restart after our second caution of the night. John Hagan has not shown very much weakness here today. He's been tough to beat, but a restart this late in the race, you never know what could happen. Majority of the field back on the lead lap, 34 trucks, and we're back and rolling here tonight at Nashville. Good start for Carlos Eduardo as John Hagan's going to get the advantage on that inside line. Here comes the 25 of Philip Purpura. Snake Plissken stuck up in that high line. He's going to try to find an opening to get down to the low line as quickly as possible. And John Hagan trying to block 3 lanes of traffic here and he's keeping the lead, keeping them at bay for now, but for how long? All he's got to do is hold out for 27 more laps here today. Philip Purpura knocking on the door. The Outlaw Gang has been held winless here in the Truck Series so far. And here comes the 25 of Purpura. 3 wide for about 4th place. We get another wreck, then we're just going to stack them up, re-rack them, and run them again. And some of these angles on the racetrack definitely looks like a wreck waiting to happen. Late race restarts always frantic like this. You never know what's going to happen. Snake Plissken trying to get his opening wherever it might be, and he's not finding it yet. As your leader is starting to single out and drive away at the moment, John Hagan, Philip Purpura, Carlos Eduardo, and Alex Sanvital, followed by Alan Malcolm. Top 5 singled out there, and then it's doubled up for 6th on back. John Hagan not showing much weakness at all here tonight. Phil Purpura right there knocking on the door. The delta looks a little bit something like this. A .23 second advantage goes to John Hagan. And the lap times comparable between the top 2 there, as they just keep delivering blow after blow for lap times. 25 not letting that 88 get too far away. Chevy versus Ford. Probably write a movie on it. It's probably a tale older than time. Chevy versus Ford. I don't know how many times it's happened in racing. It's probably happened more times than you realize. And not just NASCAR. I'm probably, looking at other forms of motorsport too. Even if it's like sport cars with IMSA and all the other. I guess F1, you can't really claim that any. I don't know if there's ever been a Chevrolet in Formula One. Ford, on the other hand, has tried their hand at Formula One on multiple occasions, including this year where they bounced back into it with Red Bull. Red Bull, Ford, IndyCar. IndyCar used to be the kart during the IRL kart split. Pretty sure they had Chevrolet in the IRL series, but never truly the kart slash IndyCar. Well, I take that back. What am I talking about? Chevrolet is the only other sponsored manufacturer out there that's not named Honda right now, currently with IndyCar. So, which gives you kind of an odd wrinkle when you think about it, when you have a team out there like Penske, sponsored by Chevy in IndyCar, and then they're sponsored by Ford in NASCAR, and then I think they even run BMWs and other manufacturers in Australia too. So talk about Penske's got his hand in every cookie jar. Doesn't matter if it's it's an American motor or not. Well, it might mostly be American Motors exclusively, but yeah, no, it's some of the thoughts that keep me up at night, just why has Penske got 3 different manufacturers across 3 different series of racing? Used to be Dodge at one point when he was in the Cup Series. I remember that. Brad Keselowski ended up winning the last championship for Dodge before Dodge decided to step away right in the year that they won the championship. Yeah, HinderCars.com, I'm sure. Yeah, no, exactly. And you think about it too, there's Earnhardt dealerships too out there. I'm sure they're a little bit more. Dealerships are because you got to get into the used car side of things too. So you get, you know, obviously whatever you can take sometimes. But yeah, when you've got a flagship like, you know, you got to have the Ford or the Chevy or the, they're different, you know, for them manufacturing stipends and whatnot. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. And the racing still pretty tight here, but it looks like Hagan's starting to build up a little bit of a comfort bubble as the 25 of Purpura not really making much of a splash here. He got up there on the back bumper and tried to make a move and then lost all the ground he made up. And it looks like single file for as far as the eye can see from the lead to the back. So we survived yet another restart here tonight without too much drama. The only true wreck here tonight came on lap 2 from the initial start of the race. You got the Trevor Ventures teammates running third, fourth, nose to tail right there. Looks like they're cooperating and working together, drafting to try and catch the lead 2 here. Could be a game changer if they get back into the picture here. But laps are ticking away quickly. They're getting there. 10 of Sam Vital and the 9 of Malcolm. Then you got Carlos Eduardo, Brandon Butler, and Guido Piano, followed by Phoenix, David Bird, and Snake Plissken trying to fight back for a top 10 with Eli the Wolf there. Milano Grimm, then it's the 52 of Wesley Shaw, Andre Stefan, Ryan Little, Philip Manning, Tim Morse, James Gunner, and Ralph Oberstadt. That is your top 20 at the moment. Gannon Bird, Pedro Sales, Mitchell Carter, Craig Popcris, Dale Bush, Andrew Moger, John Underkoffler, Kyle Ottawa, Jeffrey Gerald, Daniel Bogdasarov, Paul Valenzuela, Jack Ross, Cannon Gage, Wyatt Wilkinson, Daniel Pauls Jr., and Drew Clue. I think this might be the tightest we've seen the lead in a while. 14 laps to go. Philip Purpura knocking on the door. Purpura would be looking to try and make it 6 different winners in the first 6 races. And Purpura actually sits second in the points to John Hagan. So this is a pivotal move. If Purpura is able to get around John Hagan, he can start building those points back in his direction. However, John Hagan's led most laps here today, so those are some bonus points that might even make it so John Hagan could outpoint, actually would outpoint the 25 of Philip Purpura with a Purpura race win and a Hagan second. Hagan's not getting away from this 25 truck. It's going to be a battle right down to the finish now. Might take a little bit of a bump and run to make it work, but I guarantee you the Outlaw Gang, they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. 25 Purpura would be willing to make such a move to get the win. As the great quote from Tony Stewart once went, he'd wreck his grandma to win the race. And I'm pretty sure Phil Purpura would be in those same boots here tonight. Look at that. Making a move on John Hagan for the lead with 10 laps to go. Hagan might have the momentum to get back into this, but Purpura takes the lead on lap 111. Now, did Purpura make his move too early? You should have been maybe waiting to make that move with 2 laps to go so you don't have to defend for as long. So now with 9 laps to go, Philip Purpura is going to have to defend for that long. And John Hagan, no slouch at fighting back. That 88 truck's going to be coming. And if these two get to duking it out, what about the 9 and 10 truck who are a little bit further back there? Could they get into the picture as well? They seem to be a bit further back. Did we have a mechanical failure with the 10 truck? Oh, wow, a mechanical failure right at the end, a blown engine right from the top 5. Oh, and here goes John Hagen back for the lead. Philip Purpura's got to work on it and get back around the 88. This is going to get right on down to the finish now. No oil on track is what the officials are claiming. It seems like clear track, although it was a piston failure on the tin truck. So the 9, teammate to that tin truck, are they worried if there may be a piston failure running across the teams here? It looks like he's not really holding back at all. He's going to try to fight to get into this thing. 3 truck fight for the win with about 8 laps to go. See, and that's what I was saying, the mechanical failures, and it like clockwork, every time we come here to Nashville, maybe it's the elevation or lack of, or wherever it sits in geographical location of the world, Nashville Superspeedway seems to be very treacherous to the mechanical side of things here. And we've seen it again here tonight with 2 mechanical failures before the end of the race. 3 trucks all within a blanket of each other here. You could throw the blanket over your top 3 in the fight for the win. A little bit of lap traffic ahead of them. I don't know how much of that's going to factor in here. Phil Purpura is fast, but just not able to keep that momentum on the ground to get around the 88. That's a good run brewing out of the 25. And they are going to have to deal with the lap traffic, it looks like. Might be the bane of Hagen's existence as they close in on the trio of trucks ahead of them. Alan Malcolm with a race win this season as well, so that would be another attempt at a multi-race winner on the season. Like I mentioned, Purpura looking for race win number 1, so there's a couple different routes that this race could go. We could get a 6th different winner tonight, or we could get our first repeat winner of the season. There we go. The lap traffic is going to hold up John Hagen. Philip Purpura as well dealing with that lap traffic, but he's going to route out the 39 to get him on the outside. That's going to make John Hagen drop back to 3rd as Alan Malcolm follows through up into 2nd. Purpura dealing with the lap traffic with expertise there, crafting his way through like threading a piece of string through the head of a needle. 3 laps left to go. John Hagen gets on the inside of the number 9. Malcolm now stuck up high behind the slow traffic. Hagen, I think, a little bit fiery under the helmet after getting held up by the lap traffic. He's going to be fighting hard here. He might be willing to use the chrome horn if have to. Just a couple laps left to go. Philip Purpura is going to lead this lap. John Hagen a little bit distant in the 2nd position there. This next time by without a caution will be a white flag to end it all. We'll add just in case, but I don't think we're going to see a caution here as John Hagen running down the 25 of Philip Purpura. He's only going to have a handful of turns left to do it now. 4 corners, 1 lap left to go. White flag waving. Hagen running down the 25 of Purpura again. Led most laps here tonight, but it looks like he might be faltering at the wrong time. He loses all that ground he made up on the 25 of Purpura. The Outlaw Gang might be able to rest easy tonight, knowing one of their guys got the win here. Coming through turn 4, Hagen, he can only watch as the 25 of Philip Purpura is going to cruise to his first ever victory here in the USATrucks Eastern Division. Hagen brings it home 2nd, and Alan Malcolm 3rd. But that makes 6 different winners in the first 6 races of the USA Trucks Eastern Division. Bringing it home 4th is Brandon Butler the 2nd, Carlos Eduardo in 5th, Zane Phoenix 6th, and David Bird 7th. Guido Piano, followed by Snake Plissken and Eli the Wolf, your top 10. Wesley Shaw, Milano Grimm, Philip Manning, and Andre Stefan, with Tim Morse, the Outlaw Gang, all 4 of them in the top 15, with Tim Morse rounding it out there. Ralph Oberstadt resurges for a 16th place finish here today. Ryan Little, James Gunner, John Underkoffler, top 20. Jeffrey Gerald, Pedro Sales, Dale Bush, Mitchell Carter, Andrew Moger, Craig Popkris, Kyle Ottawa, Gannon Bird, and Boogs bringing it home in the top 30, it looks like. So that is a wrap here tonight, folks. Philip Purpura, victorious in the Truck Series, first time ever. We seen him win in the ARCA Series last year, but now next series on the calendar that he's racing, and he gets a win there too. So look out, because the Outlaw Gang is here to play here in 2026. Winner on race number 6 here, Eastern Division of the USA Trucks. And I definitely need to get those points scored up soon, as I've missed a race since the East race last didn't get scored either. So race 6 in the books. That leaves us with 7 to go in the East Coast, 7 to go on the West Coast as well. Outlaw Gang, 2 in the top 10, so that's a good night for them for sure, with the rest of them rounding out the top 15. Well, folks, that is a wrap here tonight. Obviously, this starts off yet another week of Sigma Racing action. Week number 10, I want to say. And so, or was it week 12 already? Man, it's week 12, I think. Losing track of time. Time's been flying so far. But yeah, the rest of this week, you got ARCA tomorrow night. Wednesday off with my iRacing broadcast. Then Cup Thursday. And then Bridge Cup Friday. So, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the broadcast. Hopefully to see you in the next stream. Enjoy it. Your evening here. Have a great night. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester signing out.